The loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest. In fact, they often lose. Think about that for a second. We've been taught our entire lives that if you want success, respect, or influence, you have to speak up, prove yourself, and make sure everyone notices you. But what if that's completely backwards? What if the people who say the least are actually controlling the entire conversation? And by the end of this video, you'll probably never look at silence the same way again. Imagine you walk into a meeting. One person starts talking immediately. They interrupt people, share opinions on everything, laugh the loudest, and make sure everyone knows they're there. Another person barely says a word. They simply observe. When they finally speak, everyone turns toward them. Why? Why does one sentence from a quiet person sometimes carry more weight than 10 minutes from someone who's constantly talking?
The answer has almost nothing to do with confidence. It has everything to do with psychology. Human beings are naturally curious about what they don't fully understand. When someone reveals everything they're thinking, there is no mystery left. Our brains stop paying attention. We begin wondering, what are they thinking? Why aren't they reacting? Without realizing it, we assign more value to their words. This is called information scarcity. The less available something is, the more valuable it appears. It's why limited edition products sell faster. It's why rare collectibles become expensive. And strangely enough, the exact same rule applies to people. Words become more valuable when they're rare. Now, here's something even more interesting. Have you ever noticed that during an argument, the first person to lose emotional control usually loses the room? They speak faster. Their voice gets louder. They try harder to convince everyone. Meanwhile, the calm person says very little, and somehow they appear stronger. This isn't an accident. Our brains associate emotional control with power. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on staying calm under pressure. The person who panicked endangered the group. The person who stayed composed became the leader. Even today, our brains still respond the same way. Silence under pressure sends an unconscious signal. I am not threatened. And that's incredibly powerful. But here's where most people make a huge mistake. They confuse being quiet with being weak. They're not the same thing. Avoiding every conversation because you're afraid isn't power. Remaining silent because you've chosen the right moment, that's power. There's a massive difference. One comes from fear. The other comes from control. Think about chess. The best players don't rush every move. Sometimes they stare at the board for several minutes. To someone watching, it looks like they're doing nothing. But inside their mind, dozens of possibilities are unfolding. Silence often looks inactive. In reality, it's processing. The strongest people are rarely the fastest to react. They observe first, then they respond. Most people reverse the order. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever sent a text while you were angry, only to regret it 5 minutes later? Of course. Almost everyone has. That's because emotions demand speed. Wisdom demands space. Silence creates that space. And inside that space, better decisions are born. This is one reason successful negotiators are comfortable with awkward silence.
Imagine you're buying a car. The salesperson gives you a price. Instead of immediately responding, you simply stay quiet. Something strange happens. People become uncomfortable with silence. Many will start talking just to fill the empty space. Sometimes they'll even negotiate against themselves. The silence didn't force them. Their own discomfort did. The person who controls silence often controls the conversation. But this principle goes much deeper than business. Let's talk about relationships. Have you noticed how some people explain themselves constantly? They apologize repeatedly. They over-justify every decision. I was late because traffic was bad. I didn't answer because my phone died. I only said that because the more they explain, the less convincing they become. Meanwhile, emotionally secure people don't feel the need to defend every action. They communicate clearly, then they stop. They allow their actions to speak louder than endless explanations. Ironically, saying less often creates more trust because confidence rarely needs excessive words. Insecurity usually does. Now, here's a fascinating experiment. For one day, try speaking 30% less than usual. Not because you're shy, because you're observing. Watch what happens. You'll notice details you've never seen before. The nervous tapping of someone's fingers, the hesitation before they answer, the subtle change in someone's voice. Most people miss these signals because they're too busy thinking about what they're going to say next. Quiet people often notice everything, and information is influence. There's another hidden advantage nobody talks about. People love talking about themselves. Researchers have found that speaking about ourselves activates the brain's reward system. It literally feels good. So if you become a better listener, people naturally enjoy being around you. They'll describe you as interesting, even if you barely talked. Isn't that strange? Sometimes people remember how they felt around you more than anything you actually said. Now, think about history. The greatest leaders weren't always the loudest voices. Some inspired
inspired through speeches, others inspired through calm presence. Different styles, same result. Because influence isn't measured by volume, it's measured by impact. One carefully chosen sentence can change someone's life.
1,000 careless ones rarely do. But don't misunderstand this idea. Silence isn't about manipulating people. It's about mastering yourself. Anyone can speak. Few can pause. Anyone can react. Few can respond. Anyone can demand attention. Few can earn it without asking. That's the real difference. There's one final lesson that might be the most important of all. The world rewards noise. Social media rewards speed. Opinions appear before facts. Everyone feels pressure to comment immediately, to prove they're informed, to prove they're right, to prove they matter. But the strongest people don't feel that pressure. They understand something most people forget. Every unnecessary word costs energy. Every unnecessary argument costs peace. Every unnecessary reaction gives away control. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply refusing to play. Silence doesn't always mean you have nothing to say. Sometimes it means you've realized not everything deserves your voice. The next time someone underestimates you because you're quiet, don't rush to prove them wrong. Let them believe it, because the loudest fire burns out first. The deepest river makes almost no sound. And in a world where everyone is desperate to be heard, the people who truly change the world, often the ones who first learn the extraordinary power of staying silent.